Welcome one, welcome all to DeFi Crypto and Airdrops. I am Mike, aka Veteran Crypto, and this is Jeff, aka the Blockchain Report. How's it going, Jeff?
It's good, man. It's good. I got to go see a trance legend last night that from the '90s that me and Rob grew up listening to. So it was a fun time. It was a fun time. How about you?
Oh, nice, nice. No, I've had to run to run to the big city to help my lady out with her business, but luckily made it back for the show. So good that I made it back.
Yeah.
But Yeah, I just real quick, I'll just go over kind of what we're going to be talking
hmm
about today. So, we have an exciting new DeFi project called Mezzo. That's mainnet is going to be launching in May, but a really exciting project that Jeff will get into. There's an airdrop attached to it, so that's always exciting. And to be honest, Jeff is done really well with a lot of his calls. In fact, Plume that I'm always going on and on about in blockchain basement and discover
hmm
crypto. He's the one that turned me on to it. And so, all of you out there that are listening that have gotten into that, great opportunity. That's all from Jeff. So I really enjoy his airdrop takes and his finds. So, those of you that are listening, sometimes these can be, early gems that you can get in on early when the price is really low. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to you, Jeff, and so you can run down the socials.
Yeah. So let me. Oh, can you see that now? There you
I
go.
can see that.
All right. So you guys can catch us all if you're watching on YouTube. You can catch us on Twitter. You can find me at the BCR142 and also veteran at veteran for crypto. We share a lot of stuff on here. We also go live on Mondays at 5 p.m. as well. And we're working on incorporating spaces during the week too. Uh, but yeah. And oh, wait, where's the. I don't have the YouTube channel pulled up. I,
Well,
I have it
actually,
on
you
the
know what?
other.
Hold off
Oh,
on the
yeah.
YouTube channel
Yeah.
because we got. I'll get into it as soon as you're done.
Yeah. So, and also, by the way, I have a Discord for anyone that does get into these airdrop hunting. Um, I have a Discord that you can find on my YouTube channel. The link is in the description of the videos, and we got a lot of stuff. People sharing airdrop alpha, airdrop claims. We have a whole testnets page or server channel that I share a lot of links and stuff. So because there's a lot of scam links that come around Twitter, and I try and put the links in my
Say
Discord
it's
channel
not
so you
so.
can get direct. You what?
I said, say it's not so. Scams,
Oh yeah, no,
scams,
man,
and
no,
crypto,
no, nobody would ever do that.
right?
But yeah, but we post safe links in there, and yeah, I try and engage with everyone almost daily. So yeah, if you ever need help or lost, feel free to reach out to us on X or Discord or whatever. So, but we appreciate y'all.
No, definitely, definitely appreciate y'all. So real quick, got some exciting news. As far as the channel, had a really productive call today. We've kind of been hinting to you all that there's some exciting changes, coming to the channel, and I think that we're finally, here in the next week, we'll be announcing some exciting news, partnering with a larger channel, a much larger channel, or family of channels, and to be their DeFi and airdrop,
Mhm.
kind of specialists, and so yeah. Along with that, I am about ready to launch the 100 series DeFi Academy. To those of you that are interested in DeFi but just don't know where to start or how to start, going to be getting that launched out to y'all here very, very, very soon. And we're still working on the DeFi aggregator DApp and making some great project progress on that. Rob Jeff's brother, is working on
Hmm.
some integrations right now and making some great progress. And then,
Yeah,
of
killing
course,
it.
we'll be having an airdrop hunter academy as well. Jeff's gonna
Hmm.
gonna be working on that just to give you guys the alpha on where to look and how to find them and how to navigate that space. So with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it into the crypto quick hits. So let's see. So as you can see, the markets the past couple days have actually been very green, which has been a welcome, welcome after all of this freaking bloodlust that's been going on for the past while. Seen some great movement. Aerodrome has had some really nice movement. Went from about 30 cents back up to about 46 cents. Been dancing around that level all day. Constellation DAG. I need to find out what's going on. I mean, obviously, it's something that is a big part of my portfolio, but about 25 percent on the day is up. And Plume, not a whole lot of movement, but again, I cannot stress it enough. This thing is a workhorse for my DeFi portfolio. As far as staying in range, I have a full range position that is always earning, but I have two ranged positions, concentrated liquidity positions that are just earning awesome for me. So if if you're looking for a good workhorse, I can't see the future, but if history is any indicator, Plume has been great. All right. So right into the news, we got. I kind of just want to touch on why we're pumping, or some partly why we're pumping. There was a pause, a 90-day pause that Trump did for his tariffs that he's trying to do. Those of you that don't know, tariffs are just a very small part. And actually, going to be doing an episode on this with Druth over at Blockchain Basement, here this coming week, and detail, the potentially how a full rollout of this strategy could work, against China, and how leveraging tariffs, and other strategies to to try to restructure the U.S. debt, and some other key plays. So with that, I'll just play this real quick.
Tonight, President Trump making a major reversal. His administration exempting smartphones, computers, and other electronics from his latest round of tariffs. A massive reprieve for tech companies and consumers amid fears that Trump's 145% tariffs on all Chinese goods would send prices of key products skyrocketing. Many consumers had been rushing to buy new iPhones before this late night Friday.
So in a nutshell, he paused the tariffs for 90 days and then exempted a lot of tech, and so that really sent the markets, pumping. Just
Mm.
for obvious reasons. I mean, what have you heard about it, Jeff?
No, I heard that there were exemptions for certain things, but I
In
wasn't sure exactly what. And I mean, it's good, because the whole rare earth minerals, that's a big deal, and you want to negotiate and show that I don't know the whole, like, orchestration behind all that and
You
what
don't know
all
the
is
4D
involved in.
chess?
Yeah, I mean that's like a whole different game, but I do see it as a positive that he's like, okay, certain things we will exempt, and it's some stuff it's gonna suck for a little while. I went to Costco today and my fucking avocados are up like $3 or $4 a bag, and it's like, god damn. But
Yeah. No,
in the
I mean,
short
it's
term, we might have to endure some pain, but we gotta realize like the bigger picture, and just take one on the chin for a little while.
no, I mean, and you're right. I mean, it sucks, but it's kind of the nature of the beast. Is the U.S. I mean, we've really been running on fumes for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and they've been playing, games, with our currency and debt and,
IP.
yeah, IP.
So infiltrate companies and take them over.
Well, there's just been a lot of mismanagement on our government. To
Yeah.
long story short, and it's going to take some pain. It's going to take some pain now. Where it's can be mitigated and navigated and whatnot, or we can keep kicking the can down the road to where it just ends up being, you know, where it hits us like a ton of bricks, and it's going to be a lot more painful and a lot more long lasting. And so it's just it's important that this be addressed. It should have been addressed long ago,
Yeah.
but unfortunately, with COVID and a lot of other factors, inaction, we're kind of where we are now. And speaking of that, here's Larry Fink, the BlackRock. Those of you that don't know, he's the BlackRock CEO, um, the company that has the largest amount of assets under management. And he has changed his narrative. If you haven't been paying attention, quite a bit on blockchain, Bitcoin, and the blockchain technology. It for a long time he was basically said had nothing but
Oh, did we lose you? Did Mike lock up? Oh no. What's up, Chili Rainbow? Oh no, Sack Nasty. Did you drop? Or is that?
Can you hear me now?
Yep, I hear you now.
Sorry about that. Yeah, no, all of a sudden my freaking mic disconnected and my freaking camera like tripped out. So, all right, sorry about that. Let me pull this back up.
You're having my problem the other week.
All right, right.
There we go.
So yeah, Larry Fink, he's changed his tune. So we'll jump right into this.
Make of these moves, even after a 90-day pause?
Well, the 90-day pause actually makes things more elongated. So we really don't know what the outcome will be in terms of our policies across the world on these tariffs. But for our investors who are mostly retirement, or investing for retirement, our job is to have conversations about helping them move beyond the ups and downs, the chaos, the fear.
That's really hard to do, Larry.
It's really hard to do, Liz, but if you are investing for a 10-year, 20-year, 40-year outcome, you actually, it really doesn't matter what's happening at the moment. And now, obviously, if the market falls another 10%, which is not an
I'm actually going to stop it there because that's a really good point. Is a lot of people are when you get emotion involved, you tend to get very short sighted. And
Mm-hmm.
if you zoom out on the charts, during COVID, during the almost the first couple of years of Biden's presidency, there was a huge amount of volatility. And it happens. Just there's market dumps. There's the .coms. There was the 2008 real estate bubble. There's always these things that when you're in the midst of them, they seem like these where it's just going to ruin you. But if you can weather the storm, a lot of times you end up coming out the back end of it better off than you went into it. So I can't stress it enough. I know things have been rough for a lot of people out there, but do what you can, weather the storm. You know, not telling you what to buy and sell, anything like that, but don't allow emotion to dictate how you navigate rough waters. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times in a storm, on a boat, you just hold your course and just ride the storm out. And a lot of times that's kind of the best strategy for
Yeah, and one thing, after going through, I'm still a little younger than you, but have gone through, a few of these big macro events like
that.
the 2008. Well, the 2000 crisis, I was 13, but I didn't really understand the whole concept yet. But I right out of
You
college, it
you
was
you you weren't
2008.
sitting there with your abacus and
No, I did, however, in middle school, we had in one of our math classes, it was like 7th grade, I think. We had to pick a stock and follow it for a week or two. And I got interested. I was like fascinated. Oh, you can make money through buying stocks. And then years later in high school, I started getting more interested in it. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, don't after going through 2008 and like seeing the devastation and then COVID, and it's I've learned, don't make a permanent decision for a temporary problem. People that
Yeah.
they lose their ass on investments, and then I can't live with my life anymore, and self delete. So don't ever make a permanent decision for a temporary
Yeah.
problem.
That shit
So
got that shit got dark quick.
yeah, hey, I'm saying it like all the bad, you can make money back. You can make money back
Oh,
and you can get
absolutely.
things back, but just whatever's happening in the markets and all this fear and stuff, you'll you'll be okay. It'll be rough for a little while for a lot of people, but just don't lose don't lose hope.
Well, especially with crypto. I mean, with how
Yeah.
volatile it is, I mean,
Hmm.
shit, we can be down, freaking 90% one day and, blink, go to the bathroom and come back, go out, take a walk and come back. You might, 5x your money,
Hmm.
it only takes a second. So, take a breath. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
But, one thing I do want to point out, I don't want to get, too into weeds with it, but these tariffs are only the first step to a potential strategy and it's not just to balance trade. A lot of it is to actually encourage onshoring a lot of US manufacturing. Those of you that don't know, we are dangerously leveraged overseas as far as our sourcing of raw materials, manufacturing, even our military relies
Hmm.
heavily on China, which is our economic and potentially militarily an adversary. And our military relies on a lot of products that are produced in China. So this is not a smart move. But, it hasn't been a smart move by our government to allow this to happen. So all of this is part of the potential strategy of what Trump is trying to reverse or undo. So, you know, look past the rhetoric and the propaganda. Whenever you're looking at these things, because there's a lot more at play than just are they our ally or not? Are the tariffs fair or not?
Hmm.
There's a lot more pieces on the board. So I'll move on from that. So let's actually go to this one. So, Whale Watch, this is a really good place if you want to just kind of see what the big boys are doing in Bitcoin because as we know Bitcoin moves the markets. But since early March, over a 100,000 Bitcoin has been absorbed, signs of serious accumulation. So while these markets have been dumping, whales have been buying up Bitcoin and ETH and a lot of the blue chips and some smaller projects. It's do not be distracted by prices dumping. Pretty much everything other than price is nothing but bullish, and I'm going to keep saying that on every show because it's the truth, and it's why that I keep stacking. Um, I to me, these prices have been a gift, and why I love DeFi so much. And I'll use this to segue into our DeFi section of the show, our segment of the show. But DeFi for me has changed my portfolio and my outlook on how to invest in crypto. I haven't put in probably like 4 months. I haven't put well, I take that back. I spent about $400 the other day just because Arrow was such a great buy at like around 30 cents. But other than that, I haven't spent a dollar of my own money on crypto. I've been using DeFi to earn OPM, other people's money,
Mm-hmm.
and that they're paying in fees for swaps and things like that to stack my bags. I've been stacking Plume, I've been stacking Arrow, I've been stacking DAG, I've been stacking all kinds of crypto. Um, while the markets have been dumping, while they've been moving sideways, and now while they're pumping. So, my average, has gone down quite a bit on a lot of my positions, especially Arrow with the way that I'm stacking that. But yeah, I mean, I highly encourage any of you, and we'll get into the DeFi section right now, but to start looking at DeFi. Um, I would not suggest just jumping in both feet and getting into things like concentrated liquidity pools and going after high APRs and things like that, because that's how most people get burned. Is they don't understand how DeFi works. They try to jump into high APRs right off the bat, and not paying attention to the assets that are in the pair. They don't look at volume. They don't look at TVL. They don't look at a lot of these things that that we preach as as kind of the rules of how to pick a pool. Excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it's important that you build out your portfolio properly. And me personally, I've taken this opportunity with the markets dumping to rebuild my portfolio to get ready for the pump that I feel is coming. And the way that I've been doing that is I've put the majority of my DeFi portfolio in lending and in AMMs, or automated market makers, full range. Um, I am not. I have like one or two concentrated liquidity pools where I set a range and I'm earning higher yields. But for the most part, I'm in Arrow full range positions. I have a Plume full range position, and I have a couple of lending positions with my USDC and some of my other assets where I'm just lending them out for not a lot, 5-10%, but it's just guaranteed money. And I'm getting ready because right now we're starting to see the markets pump, and I'm looking at deploying into some concentrated liquidity pools because as the market pumps, I'll keep balancing as as it pumps up, because that's what I accidentally did when I first got into DeFi. Uh, back in November, is I just decided to jump in, both feet, and started getting into a couple of positions on Aerodrome, and the market started pumping. And in the first month, off of like 10 or 12 grand of liquidity that I had in there, I made $5,000. I made almost a 50% return on investment in a month. And I'm sure Jeff, I'm sure you remember,
Pretty
you know,
good. Yep.
I was screaming from the rooftops. I was like, "DeFi's the shit."
You're like,
Check
how
out
is this?
DeFi.
How am I making this? Well,
Right?
even your brother was like,
Yeah.
wait, Mike, what the fuck?
Yeah. No, Taylor, yeah, he was like, "What is going on?" And, and then even when the market started dumping in December, January, February, I still made 3,000 one month. I made 2,000 another month, and then 1,000 the month after that. And but that's even with the markets dumping like they have. And over those 4 months, I've managed to mitigate my losses. My DeFi earnings have made it to where, the rest of the market dumped, sometimes 80-90%. I was only down maybe 50%, 40%, because of my DeFi earnings off just a small portion of my overall portfolio. So, I mean, it's treated me really well, but I want to
Hmm.
preface what I'm about to say with that. So, as you can see here, Uniswap is, probably one of the best liquidity pool, protocols that you can use out there. It's, for the most part, ETH mainnet. There are some other chains that you can use on it. You can use Base, you can use, Arbitrum, and a couple other ones. But coming here, you can look at pools and find them. And in a episode in the future, we'll go over the V3 and V4 and kind of what all that means. But I don't know why my internet's going so slow. There we go. So I wanted to bring this one up because late this past week, I've been noticing that a lot of the Bitcoin pairs have had really good APRs. Some of them 150% or more. Excuse me.
Hmm. Damn.
Oh, excuse me. So,
Bless.
thank you. So, yeah, you can come in here and you have, wrap Bitcoin USDC, really good. You can see that the TVL is 8.1 million, well over the 250K we like to see. 24-hour volume, 3.4 million, well over, what we're wanting to see. And $10,000 worth of fees in the past day. And you can see the breakdown here of when how the fees are being paid out, as far as what time of day. But you can go to add liquidity, and after you just decide what tier you want to be in. So like obviously this one is where everyone else is at. So
Mhm.
it's the 0.3% is best for most pairs. Is what it's telling you here, because obviously Bitcoin isn't an exotic pair. So you can do that. Now you can see it defaults to 0 to infinity. So this is a full range position. You're not going to earn as much, but no matter what the market does, if it's dumping, if it's going sideways, if it's pumping, you're going to be earning. And if Bitcoin is pumping, you're going to get not as much, but you're going to get price appreciation. Reason being that as the price of Bitcoin is going up, it's going to be DCAing you out of Bitcoin little by little into USDC in this case, to keep a 50-50 balance of Bitcoin and USDC. DeFi for me personally isn't to get rich. Well, I take that back. It is. But it's not it's not like just hodling to where you're wanting to get max price appreciation. I'm looking
Mhm.
to earn, and that's why it's just a portion of my portfolio, is I want to earn residual income. Every month I want to earn a couple extra grand a month to reinvest into new projects like the ones that Jeff talks about on the show here. That's how I got into Plume, was using my emissions off of Arrow. It allows you to pay bills, take trips. Just it allows you to improve your life, and that's why I'm building my DeFi portfolio. So you have to understand what your goals are. And have some hodl bags as well. To get that max price appreciation. It's good to diversify, but back to what I was saying. This is a full range position. This is what I personally am doing, not telling you what to do with with your money. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. But a full range position is going to mitigate a lot of the risks. So it's not going to fall out of range to where you're not earning, like my one position. Full transparency. I have an ETH USDC position that's been out of range for what, Jeff? Like a month and a half now,
Yeah.
and I haven't been earning shit on it. And the price of ETH has gone down, so the value of my deposit has gone down too. I'm just waiting for ETH to hopefully pump to get that thing back into range so I can start earning again. But I'm not going to rebalance because I don't want to lock in those losses. But
Mhm.
um, again, this is a full range, automated market maker, liquidity position. This is what I would. This and lending is what I would personally, if I had somebody ask me, what are you doing? This is what I would tell them. This is the foundation. This, 24/7, 365 lending is putting your hodl bags to work. It's fully liquid. You can take it out as long as you don't have a loan against it. That's a whole nother ball of wax, though. If you're just lending it, you can take it out anytime you want. But while you're hodling, you're earning. So that's why lending is so powerful. you're earning yield on your HODL bags. These AMMs, again, you're not getting full price appreciation, but you're stacking your bags. On Uniswap, if like on my Plume USDC pair, I'm earning both USDC and Plume as the
Mhm.
yield. And so I'm stacking both USDC and Plume, which allows me to add that liquidity. If I cash that out into my wallet, I can add that back in to these pools. I can sell it off to enter into other pools. I can just put it in my HODL bags. There's a lot of different things you can do with it. So I'll end on that, but that's if you're looking to get into DeFi, that's where I would start. It's going to allow you to learn how these protocols work, how the wallet works, how you deposit liquidity, how take your profits, just all the inner workings with minimal risk. There is still risk, but it's minimal risk. And then later on,
Mhm.
after you learn the basics and you have that, foundation of your portfolio, you can start putting little bits aside, kind of like meme coins, and just use little bits and start getting into those concentrated liquidity pools. Start getting into, some of these strategies where, you're taking your lending and then you borrow against it and then you use that to enter, and you do these flywheels and all these other strategies. That's when you start using OPM, other people's money to take those risks, not your own,
Mhm.
not your own. So, you have anything to add to that before we kick it over to the project you want to talk about, Jeff? Like your
Yeah, I was gonna
experiences?
say um, yeah, this it's great. Oh shit, I had a thought, but then it went away.
Yeah, I had a thought and it got away.
Oh no, no, yeah, going back to like your brother and stuff, and you realizing like, holy shit, how am I making this money just by providing, just by depositing my liquidity? And it's people think it's like some mystical thing. It's like, no, the banks do it. So, think of yourself as the bank, and you have the power of lending your money out and making money off of it instead of just getting 0.00 fucking thousandth of a penny percent. You get more of that because there is no middleman really. It's just you and the application that you're interacting with and the people on the other side that are transacting. So you don't have to deal with all these fucking middlemen that are taking all these fees and little things here and there. You get the juice, man. You get the
Well, and that
juice.
well, and I'm glad you bring that up, 'cause I was actually talking to somebody the other day, and I forget what it's called, but you have people that give that individuals that give out loans, kind of like DeFi. I
Hmm.
guess kind of like a venture capitalist, but I was trying to explain to them how those people are eventually potentially going to be replaced by DeFi because why would you go out of your way to go and meet with an individual, jump through whatever hoops they want you to jump through to for them to lend you money, do all the paperwork and the legalities and lawyers and just deal with all of that headache when you could
Hmm.
just go on to a protocol like Aave, um, put up your collateral, especially when all of these things like Ondo are going full bore, where if you have real estate and it's tokenized, you can use that as collateral. If you have
Hmm.
gold, if you have silver, if you have crypto, if you have anything that's tokenized, stocks, bonds, treasuries, you can put that up as collateral, take out a loan against it in a matter of a couple of clicks and it will give you your loan to value ratio, how much that they'll give you on whatever assets you put up, and you can take out that loan again in a couple of clicks, 24/7, 365. Doesn't matter if it's a holiday. If you're on vacation and you run across an awesome Airbnb that's for sale and you want to buy it, you can jump on your
Uh-huh.
laptop, click, 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 have the liquidity, and if that property's tokenized, once you get the loan, you could click, 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 buy the property, and done. I mean, it really is going to be that seamless at some point. If that's a year from now or 10 years from now, I don't know. But the way that I see these markets moving and the way that I see regulation getting, legislation getting drafted, um, and a lot of these big players like Ondo and BlackRock and these institutions, the way that they're moving to get these things tokenized and these rails put in place, I don't think it's going to take that long. I think it's going to shock people. And I'm actually talking with Taylor and Jeff, Texas Jeff,
Mhm.
about really starting to gear up our Sunday show to start having some heavy hitting guests on to talk about this
Mm.
on how if you're into investing, if you worry about your will or your estate or anything like that, how are you going to evolve from, the 1.0, the financial 1.0 that we've been operating under to this new, DeFi and, financial 2.0. Even Jeff, even Texas Jeff, that his whole professional career has been, as a financial advisor and, advising people on how to invest in the stock market and, other vehicles. Is super interested in DeFi, but doesn't know anything about it. So I'm going to start giving him a crash course in it and just turn him loose because he's going to be a beast. If he can be one of the first ones in the market that understands both TradFi and DeFi and is able to help people make that transition to the new way that money's going to move, he's going to be yeah, I mean, he's gonna fucking be in a really good position. But with that,
Yeah.
I'm gonna kick it over to you, Jeff.
Yeah, being able to bridge that expertise for especially this field, man, it's he's going to be in a good position. Um and I like that idea of bringing more heavy hitters on to talk finance and stuff, because we are reaching a critical point where the transition's happening. We're getting regulation, we're getting states involved, not just governments, but the states are
Yeah, no, dude,
getting
it's
into
not if,
Bitcoin.
it's not if,
It's
it's
yeah,
happening. Yeah,
it's
and
it's already going.
well, and that's gonna be an awesome thing too. Is again, we're in the very beginning stages, but the talks that that we've been having with that channel that we're gonna be collaborating with, they're gonna give us
Hmm.
access to a lot of really, really interesting, individuals, just networking. A lot of really interesting individuals that we'll be able to bring on for interviews and, give very valuable insight into, aspects of, DeFi and, crypto and, blockchain and, finances, um, to help all of you out there, on your journey. Well, real quick before I kick it over to you, Jeff, Chili
Hmm.
Rainbow, appreciate you. Deadwood, what up, brother? We definitely appreciate everybody that's Sack Nasty, all of you that love
Oh,
jumping in
Deadwood,
the
what's
chat.
up? I
If
just popped on
any of
in.
you that are watching on X, please feel free to jump on over and YouTube, jump in the chat. We'd love to field your questions or your comments. It really is what makes this worthwhile for us is knowing that you guys are there and you answering your questions and helping you navigate airdrops, crypto, and DeFi because there's not a whole lot of places out there, a lot of people out there that specifically address DeFi and airdrops. And so you have two very good resources here to for any questions that you have if you're curious about how to get into both of these. So with that,
Hmm.
Jeff, take the reins, brother.
Yeah, let's go. Let me share this screen real quick. And yeah, and on the topic of DeFi and Bitcoin, Mezos Network is a DeFi project that is building out. They launch their mainnet live next month. I don't know when exactly, but you can deposit Bitcoin right now and lock it up. The minimum right now is 2 months, but I'll dive into that. But this is a way to leverage your Bitcoin and earn interest. You can, lend and borrow, but we'll kind of break down what it is. They started building about a year ago, is when they announced their Meso project. And I forget what the funding is, but if you go to cryptorank.io is a great site for finding not just like airdrop projects, but how much they've raised, who funded them, and different airdrop tasks, which I'll kind of show you. I actually launched a video, yesterday or earlier this week on Meso, kind of going through the layer 3 campaign. And there is airdrop along with this. You have to earn what's called these mats, and that will contribute to how much of the airdrop you get. And I have my secondary wallet that I haven't gone through this testnet with yet, so I'll set that up and walk you guys through just the whole DApp and stuff.
Looks like they got a
So
stable coin too, MUSD.
yeah, MUSD, and yeah,
Oh
there's
shit!
the whole FAQ right here.
Well, they have it's 100% back Bitcoin backed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right here. There's native stablecoin, 100% backed by Bitcoin reserves and designed to maintain a 1-to-1 value with the US dollar. So the loans are secured by Bitcoin collateral. MUSD allows users to obtain loans with minimum collateral ratio of 110%, meaning the value of Bitcoin collateral must be at least 110% of the borrowed amount of MUSD. If it falls below the 110% threshold, it becomes subject to liquidation. This is advantageous compared to other DeFi lending platforms because of the lower collateralization requirement, which allows for more capital efficient borrowing compared to Aave, which is like 82.5 for ETH and Compound 80% for Bitcoin. But yeah, so it's good. I don't know, there's the whole over collateralization too, that what Cardano, they have their stable coin that is over collateralized. And you want to see that, you don't want these like speculative weird stable coins like Terra Luna or
Oh yeah, the algorithmic stable coins.
algorithmic. Well, although
Yeah,
what do they say? Sonic is working on kind of redefining that whole thing because of they know it's possible to do, but they're looking at a different approach. But I'd be interested to learn more about that. But
yeah. No,
yeah,
I
so
heard about that too, but I don't know enough about it to where I'd want to speak on it because I don't
yeah,
like talking about stuff if I'm not fully knowledgeable.
yeah, yeah, and that could be another benefit to the Sonic network when if they launch that, if it does end up being a good thing. But yeah, so Bitcoin lending. So why borrow MUSD instead of selling Bitcoin? Lets you access liquidity while keeping your Bitcoin, which we all want to do. We don't want to sell our Bitcoin at the bottom of at the bottom of the bear market. But finding these tools to utilize your Bitcoin instead of just sitting there. Now, I did notice the fees for depositing this is a little
A little
a
steep.
little expensive. Yeah, I think it's like 0.001 because the minimum deposit is 0.01 Bitcoin,
Okay.
which is, what is it, $850 right now? Is it 85K? Yeah. So it's $850 or so, but then it's $85 fee to deposit or 0.001.
All
So
right. So yeah, definitely not a play if you only have a small amount of Bitcoin.
yeah, no. Any wallet supported on Meso can support MUSD. You can also bridge to Ethereum or remain on Meso to use MUSD for trading stablecoin, and they have the exchange. or not the exchange. There's another market called Blend. That's a DeFi protocol. I'll go into that too. And yeah, so you can sign in with your Bitcoin wallet, which is either Unisat, Xverse, and OKX, but I don't have that set up right here, so I'm just going to sign in with my MetaMask. And the way you interact with this site, and so right off the bat, you get 300 of these mats.
Are those testnet tokens or?
Yeah, and I'll show you how to convert them on here. So you kind of have to join their Discord.
Is it a one for one swap for Bitcoin? So if you get 350 of those, you get 350 Bitcoin.
Yeah. Fuck,
Well, it
man.
said it was a 1-to-1.
Oh
so
yeah, I would be here every hour, man. Just fucking, where can I get that?
I'd be making
you got
all
these
kinds
mats?
of wallets and accounts.
You got these mats, man.
Yeah. You got. Hey, man, what's a brother got to do to get these mats?
Oh shit. Yeah, so you got to join the Discord to get more mats, because in order to deposit and borrow, you have to get these mats and convert them to sats, and it's a whole thing. But in the Discord, you have this
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
the mats and the hats and the
mats and the hats and the sats.
Oh man, we're gonna Hey, Crypto Billy needs to have the Dr. Seuss of crypto book.
Oh yeah.
But the way to earn more mats, you go to their Discord and you can link you link your Twitter, and there's certain accounts that they ask you to follow, and you can earn more mats by verifying. And once, like right here, layer 3. So these are follow these people on Twitter, and you earn 150 mats. So I'm just going to follow, and I'll show you kind of how this goes.
Well, they have a couple of good partnerships.
Oh.
Look like they're partnered up with Curve. They're Acre, Athena, Swell, and a Wormhole, and a couple of others. So yeah, it looks like they got some good partnerships.
Yeah, and some Pantera Capital is one of their biggest backers too.
Oh, nice.
So they and raised 28 million. So that's man, if you're not making partners with that heavy backing, it's
that's the thing is, I mean, if you want to, I mean, it's possible to do, but if you want to be a player, it's all about whoever's building on your project, whoever's adopting your project, and backing, because you got to have backing and community, because
yeah, and I think the testnet started in February for this, and I have to link my stuff, because you have to send these mats that you earn on the Discord. You have to send them to, once you create a username, I'll show you how to send those over. Let's see, link your Twitter. And there's not many projects that do this, where they have the testnet tokens in. Oh no.
What'd you do?
I accidentally unlinked. I was clicking too fast.
Oh man, one of my plume pools went out of range.
Oh, did it pop out the bottom?
Yeah, it popped out the bottom.
Little bottom popper.
It's knocking the bottom out of it. Not in a good way.
There's one that I claimed, and also you want to go to this MMM channel and link your Mezo username. So you want to type your username in here, .mezo, and that will link your Discord to your Mezo testnet account. And now we go to our dashboard and see I have 150. Now to transfer that, you have to go into the general chat and where is it? Transfer mats. And you got to put in the amount you want to transfer, put in your username. And there you go. You've transferred your Mezos.
This is why we need people like you, Jeff. Again, I'd never be able to figure this out.
Oh my god, dude! I love stuff like this because I love to just figure out how shit works and like I don't know. It's kind of fun diving into this and being like, hey, how the fuck does this work? Let's see, where's it at? Come on. Okay, there you go. 450 mats. We got our mats. So I'm going to convert this over to the sats, and then we'll be able to borrow.
And then we can buy some cats in the hats.
Yeah, buy some cats in the hats and earn interest. That's where it's at. How does it work? You use the Matt's Nest Bitcoin as collateral. So this is the amount I'm eligible to borrow. Eligible collateral, your fixed interest rate, and eligible rewards. And there's kind of a little FAQ. How does collateral work? All that stuff. So if you want to really dive into it. But remember, this isn't real money. And anything that we recommend, it's like pure speculation, not investment advice. This is all educational purposes only. So
yeah. Do not mortgage your house and do what we say.
Yeah. And so the minimum amount to borrow is 2,000 MUSD. So once I figure out, I'll put in the minimum borrow amount and you want the collateral to be at least 110%. And I'm just, what the purpose of this is on the testnet, and they put it in their blog right here really well. So borrow MUSD, earn mats, and it's to strengthen the backbone of Bitcoin-backed stablecoins. And it's really, you want to stress test the system. You want to just deposit, and the more you engage, borrow in mats, deposit. And I don't think you can withdraw on the testnet yet, but
and those of you that don't understand, kind of, why, Jeff is doing all this is why you get airdrops, like the actual real, value tokens, is from doing these things and helping them stress test the network and, find vulnerabilities and, find flaws and, and just make sure that it's all operating as it should so that they can go live. So, that's why these airdrops occur is, you're basically helping them test the network. And so as payment, they pay you in an airdrop. So I just wanted to throw that out there just so people, kind of understand, why, these projects are giving away basically free money.
Yeah. Yeah. And the test nets are the best way to earn kind of free money. And if you don't have a lot to invest initially, and it's great because you also learn about what the project is, how to navigate the crypto space, making transactions, setting up a wallet. It's all really educational and helps you understand the whole space better. And yeah, the projects, they have funding, but you can only do so much, and getting the community involved instead of hiring a bunch of in-house testers. You want the community who's going to be running the show to be.
And it's a more accurate, a more accurate use of the system. If you have people, from all around the world, using it as it's going to be used, when it goes live, it's a more accurate test of, how it's meant to operate. So, it's like in the military, train as you fight. It's the same. I would guess, not that I'm a software guy, but I would guess that the same is true. Is put it through the paces as if it's being used live, because then you're gonna find the vulnerabilities, you're gonna find the bugs, you're gonna find
Hmm.
what doesn't work properly, if it freezes up, or the button doesn't work, or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And you get, like you said, people from around the world, different systems, different internet connections or speeds, and, uh,
Oh, yeah. I
different
mean, are they
PCs
on
or
Starlink? Are they
bandwidth.
on dial-up?
Yeah,
It's
Starlink.
like, who
Yep.
freaking knows? Are they on a smartphone? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
just, trying to get in Twitter Spaces on my smartphone sometimes, it's glitchy as hell, but it's
Hmm.
different on my laptop. And so, these are the things that you gotta work through, and, if you just have a bunch of people in the same room and they're all on high-end desktops, you're not gonna find
Yeah.
out what the experience is like for somebody with a shitty laptop, or, that's using a flip phone from the early 2000s or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've seen some test nets, man, where they, like, some networks that launched, and they thought they stress tested the network, and oh shit, man, once the airdrop came, it was, oh, the network shut down, it's gridlocked. You're
Well, I
like,
mean,
oh, again.
I don't fully understand the ins and outs of Solana, but, during that meme coin frenzy, on, Pump dot Fun, and, all of that was going on. Solano is almost unusable there for a minute, just because of
Hmm.
just the sheer volume of meme coins, buying and selling that was going on.
Oh, my back.
Yeah, you're
Something
back.
happened.
Joe back.
Damn, that was weird. A little glitchy. Okay. So yeah, and I need to get more mats on this one because I need, minimum deposit amount. Um, but I have deposited on my other account, and this kind of shows you what I borrowed, the collateral that I deposited, and the ratio. And now I can manage this loan by adding more to my borrow, and it'll go through that whole process. And
So is each of these things that you're doing, is it, are each one of them like earning you points towards the airdrop, or is it just the whole thing
yeah,
together?
it's the whole thing. So you get, I forget how they calculate, which one is it, the mats or the sats? Yeah, you earn the mats, and I don't know because I just started this this week, and where's the leaderboard?
I guess my question is like, I'm hoping this is the right terminology, but the task, like to get the airdrop, is it, you know is it, each one of these steps, each one is a task, or you have to do like this whole thing that you're doing right now to be qualified
You
for the airdrop?
you don't really know.
Oh, okay.
I've always said, because they won't tell you specifically, because then everybody will hone in on that
Ah,
one thing. So I've always said interact with everything on the page, and like
so
clicking the
so
block
so you
explorer,
should be you
going,
should be going through, and you should be touching and licking and
yeah, man,
poking
all
and
the little crevices,
yeah, get in there. Get in there
give it a
good.
little Biden sniff.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Full on two-handed Biden sniff. Absolutely.
And and that, it's also great because
Uh,
you get to see every part of the DAP too, and you're
yeah,
not kind of lost. And I
like
try and walk people
airdrop
through
porn.
everything. And oh, dude, and it's fuck, man. Some stuff I've found, weeks after, I don't know, kind of hidden in the DAP. It's
Oh,
stuff
in the
that,
UI?
yeah, these these designers, it's like, okay, I know that you're not using this because you designed this UI just so shitty, but
Yeah.
That's why, and that's another reason why they have just the community, because
Oh, no,
these
I'm
people
sure
are
I'm
like,
sure they have analytics where it's like, "Hey, nobody's clicking on this button." It's like, "Okay, why?" It's
yeah,
like, "Oh, because it's freaking hard to find," or, it's not
hmm
showing up, on the page or, whatever.
yeah, yeah, and that's layer three. They have this campaign. That's one reason why I love layer three, but man, they really fucked us on the airdrop recently. So
I saw your
I'm still
post on
waiting.
that.
Yeah, so what you have to do is mint these cubes at the end of each one of these quests, and that kind of confirms your participation. And they do a lot of rewards um, here and there, but the airdrop, man, a lot of people that have been staking and completing, like, spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars, didn't get anything. So I'm waiting to hear back. They're going through they're reviewing all the Google forms right now, and to see why. But it's been a shit show. But you do get exposure to a lot of other projects like this. And I've gotten airdrops from projects just by participating in layer three quests. So it sucks, but you move forward. I know a lot of people aren't going to be happy, and if they don't change shit, then they're going to lose a lot more people. But it is good because it does take you through different things in that ecosystem, like this blend, and shows you, okay, you need to deposit here or borrow here. And it's a great learning tool. But they have this whole Meso testnet campaign, and that's one of the videos I dropped um, earlier this week. And I'll have another one once these unlock. I'll do one covering these projects in that ecosystem. So it's not just this Meso dashboard right here, but we have Blend, which is kind of like an Aave.
You are
Looks
you
just
able to
like it,
field Are you able to field this question?
Oh, let's see. Any thoughts on Map M's liquidity project? Map M's? I'm not sure what Map M's is.
Sorry, I'll look that up. I thought he was talking about the maps that you were talking about here on Mezzo.
Oh,
Go ahead and keep going.
unless he accidentally typoed on Maps.
In Saris Lab.
Ceres
I'll
Labs?
look that up. Keep going, brother.
Yeah. So yeah, Blend is another project that is building on the Mezos network, and it basically just like an Aave, and you can get testnet tokens right here. Logging in with your wallet. And
Well,
oh, go ahead.
we got Saris Labs. Our global mission is to ensure safe cannabis and industrial hemp products.
Oh,
No, I don't think that's what he's talking about. I just thought it was funny that
I'd
there's
like to look at that.
a weed project that's named that.
Yeah, and I would suggest everyone getting involved in airdrops, creating a fresh new wallet, and having that
Good
as a
call.
dedicated, airdrop hunting one. Because I have my main wallet that I use for the channel, and then I have stuff that, like, my separate staking wallet and a backup wallet that I do other transactions with. So you want to have stuff spread around. And okay, yeah, I'll get a couple more of these testnet tokens. So what I'm doing right now is requesting these fake tokens to test this Blend DeFi protocol with. And it's pretty simple if you've kind of gone through the Aave. One thing. So on Aave, you'll have a little carrot thing right here. And I was talking to Rob one time, my brother Rob, and he didn't know that this thing existed. So he was trying to find or switch networks or something. on Aave, and he didn't know you had to click right here. And he's a software developer, so he's like all into, you know, the buttons and shit and how it's laid out. He's like, that's so stupid how you have to click this, and it's just certain little things that aren't very very efficient. But you can see right here, you got your APYs and stuff. 71% for the MUSD. It's pretty nice.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna deposit a little bit of that in there, and you get a little deposit. And I've dealt with some test nets, or a lot of test nets that are really buggy, but a lot lately have been much better. Much better. Yeah, I don't know what it is, if less people are using these test nets or what, but they've been developing a lot better. So yeah, this basically just a lending and borrowing. And then we'll go into, where is it at? Home. They have this Pamp land where you can discover and trade your favorite memes. So this is kind of this reminds me of the late 90s, early 2000s kind of websites, you know, with the funny.
Yep. Absolutely.
I don't know if you ever heard of Stick Death, but oh my God, man, they made these crazy videos, and the site was kind of like this.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can come in here and use your mats or your sats to, I don't even know how this thing works. I haven't really, it's just, it looks so crazy. I don't even know what to do on this thing. Okay,
Definitely
search,
retro.
huh? Yeah. But yeah. But you can play around with that if you want. And there is a marketplace right here where you can, everything on Bitcoin, t-shirt, Mezzo cap, Owners Club hoodie. I don't know if you need to actually deposit real Bitcoin to earn on this. Oh. Wait, what? Come on. I just want to see if I can buy it. I want to see if I can use, because it was Coinbase when they had their on-chain summer last year. If you bought certain NFTs, they would send you the physical item. So I got like the Atari beanie and fanny pack and shit like that. So it was pretty cool. But testnet stuff, there have been a few testnet things where you did get the real physical item that they sent you, and you didn't. I think you might have had to just pay shipping or something, but it was very small fee. But I do like that projects will send out swag and shit. So it looks like
good
I
marketing.
can use my So I can use my testnet sats. Oh no, looks like I have to
use real money.
Oh, no, successfully collected. So
okay, so it's an NFT.
And it said, we will keep a record of your choice, and we might reach out later through Mezzo notifications to get you your collected item. We might reach out. So
we might.
We might.
There's a chance.
But that's cool. You know,
it is.
Cap right here, the beanie. And also, so going back to the earning these mats by following these accounts on Twitter, you can follow them and then verify and then unfollow them. You know, a lot of these projects will do these social tasks where you have to follow these 20 accounts and join the 10 Discord servers, and you just join, verify, and once your task is done, fucking leave if you want to, or unfollow, because it gets to be too much at some point. And if you can only join, I think, 100 Discord servers, which is like, why would you need that many? Trust me.
there
You're
was
airdrop hunting.
well, I forget which one it was, but there was one that I ended up not doing, that airdrop, because it was wanting me to connect, basically give it, like, full control of my Twitter profile or my X profile,
Mhm.
and I'm like, "No." They're like, "Oh, we can add and remove, friends, and, we have access to, all your chats," and I was just like, no." It's like,
Yeah.
not gonna happen.
No. Nope. And that make sure that when you do, like for those of you out there, if you're not comfortable with it, then don't participate. There've been stuff that I've tried to airdrop hunt. I'm like, I don't really want to go through this process and or verifying certain things that I didn't feel comfortable with. And so, yeah, just only participate in what you feel comfortable with. And this is the last thing I'll touch on for this project. And you can deposit your Bitcoin right now and lock it up for minimums 2 months because they do launch in May. And a lot of times projects will do this liquidity lockup and they try and bolster their TVL ahead of mainnet launch. So you're allowed to deposit minimum zero point zero 0.01 Bitcoin for 2 months, 6 months, or 9 months, and you get the certain 3x, 10x, 16x boost on your mats that you earn. And this will go on mainnet. So it is a zero point zero 0.01 or 0.001 fee, which right now at Bitcoin's price is about $85. And the minimum amount to deposit 0.01. So you're looking at spending some money. It's not for just some dust. And
Hmm.
yeah, sending it over. This is your Meso deposit account that's tied to
Oh,
your wallet.
gotcha.
Yeah. And then once mainnet launches, that will be they'll migrate like that into the network. But yeah, if you're interested, um, take advantage. But if not, do the test net. You don't have to spend any money and go through the video on my YouTube channel. And you
And
can find that
happy
on
airdrop
my
hunting.
yeah, happy airdrop hunting and reach out if you have any questions. Be happy to help you through any technical stuff trying to find like the Discord and sending stuff over, it can be quite a confusing.
Let's
But yeah,
see.
that's all I got on the Meso front. Exciting Bitcoin utility and use case, man. Exciting stuff.
Well, appreciate it, brother. No, it's yeah, like I said, it's always, there's a lot of different aspects to, whenever you're sharing these, airdrop tutorials and stuff like that, because it's not just the
Mm.
it's not just the airdrop itself. I mean, it's the project, because a lot of times these airdrops are, again, before the mainnet goes live, very early on in the project. So, a lot of times you can, get, and again, Plume is a perfect example. You did the airdrop for Plume, and that turned you onto it, which you mentioned it to
Hmm.
me, and both of us mentioned it to Drew over on Blockchain Basement, and they mentioned it to their listeners, and a lot of people got in very early on Plume, after the token went live, and we're all up on our position because of it. So there's a lot of different aspects to
Hmm.
airdrop farming. It's not just getting the airdrop, but it's also finding these early gems. Sometimes the project
Hmm.
might not go anywhere, but in doing these airdrops, you can see and learn about the project. You can learn what they're doing. You can, see what their UI is like. Is this a team that obviously has, a lot of experience under their belt when they're building out these UIs, to where they're, intuitive, to where, onboarding people is going to be easy. It's, people don't have to be a software engineer to navigate the thing. That's going to be
Mhm.
indicators on, how quickly potentially that, their DApp or, whatever is going to be, adopted, and how easily they're going to be able to onboard people. So, all of this is just, there's so many nuances to, navigating technology that's this early, like, blockchain is right now, and why there's so many opportunities to profit in so many different ways to profit. From trading to just buying and hodling to DeFi to airdrops. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can, earn and learn, through, while this technology evolves, and all of it is going to give you a more complete picture on how to navigate this space, and potentially line you up to, be able to identify these low cap gems and get in before, they do these massive pumps. So
Yeah, and I'm
with
I'm
that,
glad that you asked the question earlier of is like what specifically is the task for the airdrop? And it's great because you don't know, and a lot of people don't know, and that's the important thing. Just click all over, interact with everything that you can interact with, because you don't really know, and you want to make sure that you're covering all the bases. And there's a lot that goes into it. There's social aspect too. I talked about that Initia project. I got more from just talking about it, more tokens in the airdrop just by talking about it on socials than
yeah,
I did on the test net. So even if you're talking about a project or sharing it and quote retweeting and stuff, that can contribute too. So don't be afraid to, even if you're not a crypto influencer, you can still earn some
yeah,
some stuff through social tasks. And it
yeah.
but yeah.
Think of it as being drunk at the club. The more time you interact, the better your chances.
Yeah. Someone's gonna say yes.
I you know what? I had a buddy in the military that was his whole philosophy was, I won't say exactly what he said, but he'd go up to a girl and he had a line, and he got 9 out of 10 times he got smacked in the face, or a drink thrown in his face, but he always said all it takes is one, and
Yeah.
every time he went to the club, he hooked up because there was always that one that was like,
Oh.
"Hi." So,
Oh man, that's great.
anyway,
That's
so this is that project. Before we go, I just want to make sure that, I appreciate Disclosure Crypto. I appreciate you
Mhm.
interacting with us, and so I want to reward you by, just kind of shouting out this project, because to be honest, I'm going to have to look into it. But what it looks like is, it looks like it's a, it's for DeFi, but it's kind of like, has some of the, functionality, and I just went over it a couple of seconds, but some of the functionality of, like, VFAT, to where, like the auto rebalance, auto fee claim, pause, restart your strategy. So it looks like it's a DeFi play, which, is right up my alley. So I'll definitely look more into this. I followed him on X, and but yeah, it's just a play to, to give some added functionalities. I'm guessing they probably use hooks, which are
Hmm.
kind of an upgrade to smart contracts. It's what V4 is on Uniswap, which, basically the
Mm.
hooks allow, almost for lack of a better term, like an entry point into the smart contract to attach functionality. Is my understanding of it so far in my learning process. The only thing that I saw in this that I didn't necessarily like so far, but again, I'm just judging a book by its cover. I haven't done a deep dive yet. Is, I guess it's like $99 a month. And a lot of this looks like stuff that, like on VFAT, they just charge you a small fee to allow you to do this stuff. But again, I'm
Mm.
not fudding it at all. I'll do some deep dive into the documentation, and if I see that it, might be, an interesting project to talk about, then, then maybe we'll have it on a future episode. Again, appreciate your disclosure, crypto, for bringing it to our attention.
Yeah,
Got
and they
any
look
closing thoughts?
fairly new too, fairly
Yeah,
recent.
yeah, no, definitely. So, yeah, like I said, I'll look into it
Give us
and
that
let you
hot
know.
alpha.
You know what? And I in the military, I always, I don't care if it's a private or a general. It's you know everybody has a good idea sometimes. Like a broken
Hmm.
clock is right twice a day. It's
Yep.
so it's like it's so yeah. No, it's like any of you out there listening, if you want to give us a project that you think is interesting, by all means, shout out in the chat, and I'll be more than happy to take
Hmm.
a look at it. And if I think there's value to the community, we'll do an episode on it. So, you got any closing thoughts, Jeff?
Yeah. No, I'm really excited about all these DeFi protocols you looking to utilize Bitcoin, because I know that was one thing once when we started uh, doing this channel, was like, how are we gonna utilize like not just DeFi in the bear market, but our Bitcoin?
Yeah,
So it's using that to get instead of just sitting there, use it to earn other people's money and
absolutely.
or other protocols money.
There you go. There you go. No, and that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. Um, with these investments, and it's going to end up playing into once a lot of real world assets, RWAs, are tokenized. Earning yield on an asset that you're long term holding is going to be commonplace. Gold, silver, real estate. There's going to be opportunities to where you can now earn yield, without giving up the asset. So, like for instance, I have a couple acres over on the Big Island in Hawaii. It's been sitting there since 2008 when I bought it. When the market crashed, I got it for a steal, and I haven't done anything with it. And I'm every year I pay property taxes. I pay a small HOA for road maintenance and stuff like that. But I haven't been able to do anything with it. But potentially, um, it might, if in the future, if I can tokenize it, I can leverage it. I can use it to take loans out against it. Like I could, if I could get it tokenized now, I could take out a loan against it and you know use that to earn yield off of. So I'm super excited.
Mhm.
I can't stress it enough. And my closing thoughts is any of you out there that are interested in decentralized finance, if you're interested in RWAs, anything like that, I highly suggest you start learning. And here in the coming weeks, with that partnership that we're doing with that other channel, is they have a Discord where they're going to have a family of channels that are all going to be contributing to it, and we're talking with them about putting our DeFi course on there for free. To all of you out there, we're all about trying to help you learn and grow and and just navigate as this ecosystem evolves, and as these earning opportunities evolve. You need to learn about these things because it really is going to be the future of finance. This
Mhm.
functionality of decentralized finance and blockchain technology is going to reshape how business is done and how you can earn. So start now, because it's going to be a process. I mean, I know that. I mean, I've been diving into DeFi for months now, and full time. I mean, I've been learning about it for quite some time, but really, really being serious about it, where I have my money invested in it. It's only been about 5 months, but there's so much to learn. And right when you think that you're starting to get your head wrapped around it, here comes Pinman. With YTs and PTs, and just a whole different model of how their platform works. So yeah, Get in there,
Mhm.
learn. You know, it's going to do nothing but supercharge your portfolio. So with that,
Yep.
shout out to our chat, Stan, Deadwood, Disclosure Crypto,
The
Sack
chili.
Nasty. As always, your stepmom must be stuck in the dryer, but shout out to your mom. um, who else we got here? Chili
Chili
Rainbow.
Rainbow, Disclosure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
appreciate all of you and the
And
100.
everyone on the X.
Yep, we got around 100 people watching on X. Appreciate y'all. By all means, again, please feel free to jump in YouTube. We'll be jumping on the new channel, here in the next episode or two, and we're gonna have a much larger audience, from that channel. So uh,
Hmm.
get ready, buckle up, big things
Yeah,
ahead.
we're gonna have some fun. Let's go.
Absolutely. All right, take care, and till next time, Veteran Crypto out.